Have you ever found yourself sitting alone in your living room, the house quiet, and suddenly realizing that living alone feels different than you thought it would? For some people, it feels like freedom. For others, it can feel like an empty echo that grows louder with every day. Living alone as we get older can be both a blessing and a challenge. On the one hand, there's independence and the joy of doing things your own way. On the other hand, there are hidden risks, the small things no one really talks about, that can make life harder, lonelier, or even unsafe if we're not paying attention. That's why today I want to talk with you about something important. 10 things to avoid when living alone as an older person. These aren't the typical warnings you might have heard before. These are the everyday habits, choices, and little oversights that can quietly chip away at your health, safety, and happiness. And my hope is that by shining a light on them, you'll feel more empowered, more confident, and more ready to live your best life even if you live by yourself. So, let's settle in together, like two friends chatting over a warm cup of tea, and start uncovering the first few things we should all be mindful of. The very first thing to avoid, and I can't stress this enough, is isolating yourself too much. When the kids are grown, when family members live far away, or when neighbors don't stop by as often, it's easy to fall into a routine where days pass without much contact. At first, that solitude might even feel comforting. But over time, too much quiet can start to weigh on your heart. Studies have shown that loneliness can be as harmful to your health as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. It can raise blood pressure, weaken your immune system, and even cloud your memory. Now, I don't mean you need to have a house full of people every day, or that you should force yourself into loud gatherings if that's not your style. It's about balance. Something as simple as a phone call with an old friend, joining a small group at church, or even smiling and chatting with the cashier at your local store can make a huge difference. Humans are wired for connection, and even small doses of it keep our hearts lighter and our minds sharper. If you live alone, avoid the trap of closing yourself off. Instead, open small doors to connection, one step at a time. The second thing you'll want to avoid is neglecting your home safety. When we live alone, it's easy to get comfortable with things as they are. Maybe that rug in the hallway has a corner that flips up. Maybe the bathroom floor gets slippery after a shower. Maybe the light bulb on the stairs went out a few weeks ago, and you've just been walking carefully in the dark ever since. The problem is, small hazards can turn into big dangers quickly. A simple slip or fall can have consequences that change everything. So don't put off those fixes. Secure the rugs with non-slip pads. Add a grab bar near the shower. Make sure the pathways in your home are well lit and free of clutter. Even if you feel steady on your feet now, think of it as preparing the space for your future self. That little bit of effort now is like giving a gift to the version of you that will walk those halls tomorrow, next month, or even 10 years from now. Safety isn't about being fearful, it's about being wise. Now, the third thing to avoid is something people rarely mention, but it sneaks up on so many of us: skipping meals or eating whatever happens to be easiest. When you live alone, cooking for one can feel like more trouble than it's worth. Maybe you just grab some crackers and cheese, or heat up the same frozen dinner night after night. Over time, that habit chips away at your energy and your overall health. Your body after 60 deserves more than good enough. Food isn't just fuel, it's medicine, joy, and even memory. Preparing a simple, nourishing meal for yourself can be an act of care and dignity. Think about how you'd cook for a loved one if they came over. Why not offer that same care to yourself? And no, it doesn't have to be complicated. A pot of vegetable soup that lasts a few days, a colorful salad with beans and nuts, or even oatmeal with fruit can do wonders. Avoid falling into the trap of neglecting your nutrition just because no one else is watching. You're worth the effort, and your body will thank you for it with more energy, clearer thinking, and a brighter mood. These first three things, avoiding isolation, ignoring home safety, and neglecting nutrition, may seem small on the surface, but in reality, they set the foundation for everything else. A connected heart, a safe home, and a nourished body give you the strength to enjoy your independence and the peace of mind that comes with knowing you're taking care of yourself in the best way possible. Now that we've set the foundation with connection, safety, and nourishment, let's look at a few other habits that quietly creep in when living alone and can slowly take away from the vibrant life you deserve. One of the most overlooked things to avoid is letting your daily routine slip away. It might start small, staying in bed longer than usual because there's no one around to nudge you awake, or skipping the morning walk because who's going to notice? Before long, the days start to blend together, and you find yourself with less energy, less motivation, and a creeping sense that life is passing you by. A routine isn't about discipline for discipline's sake, it's about giving structure and meaning to your days. When you wake up, make your bed, have a proper breakfast, and decide on one or two things you want to accomplish, you're telling yourself, this day matters. I matter. Of course, routines should be flexible. Maybe your morning includes watering the plants, listening to your favorite old records, or sitting by the window with a good book. The point is to have anchors that ground you, so that even when you live alone, each day feels purposeful rather than empty. Avoid drifting through your days like a boat without a sail. Instead, set small rituals that give rhythm to your life, because those little rhythms build joy. Another trap to steer clear of is neglecting your health appointments. When no one else is reminding you, it's easy to postpone that dentist visit or skip your annual checkup, especially if you feel mostly fine. But here's the truth. Prevention is always easier than cure, and regular check-ins with your doctors aren't just about catching problems, they're about keeping you strong and confident. Think of it as maintaining your car. You wouldn't wait until the engine breaks down before getting the oil changed. The same applies to your body. Even something as simple as checking your vision and hearing regularly makes a huge difference. Poor eyesight or diminished hearing can make you more prone to accidents, misunderstand conversations, or feel left out in social settings. And sometimes, those little changes happen so gradually you don't even notice until it's too late. So don't wait. Avoid brushing off your health appointments as unimportant. They are your safety net, your way of making sure the independence you value remains firmly in your hands. Now let's talk about another thing people rarely mention but matters a great deal: avoiding the tendency to stop moving. I don't just mean formal exercise, though that's wonderful if you enjoy it. I mean the quiet, daily movement that keeps your body flexible, your joints happy, and your spirit lifted. When living alone, it's tempting to spend long hours sitting watching television, scrolling through the phone, or simply resting. And while rest has its place, too much stillness slowly takes away your strength. Muscles weaken, balance becomes shaky, and before you know it, things that once felt easy, climbing stairs, bending to tie your shoes, carrying groceries, become harder. Movement doesn't have to be complicated. Dance in your living room to an old favorite song. Stretch gently before bed. Take a short walk after lunch. Even standing up and moving around during commercial breaks adds up. Avoid the trap of becoming sedentary, because motion is truly lotion for the body. Every step, every stretch is a way of telling yourself, I'm still here, still strong, still capable. And trust me, your future self will thank you for every little bit of effort you make today. Living alone can sometimes create a false sense of I don't need to bother with things like schedules, health checkups, or daily movement. But what I want you to hear is this: you are still worth showing up for. You are still worth the effort. Your days still deserve shape. Your body still deserves care, and your spirit still deserves to feel alive and vibrant. These aren't chores, they're gifts you give yourself. We've already looked at some of the habits that can quietly steal away our health, safety, and joy when living alone. But there are still a few more, and these ones often hide in plain sight, overlooked until they become real problems. One of them is letting clutter build up. It might not seem like a big deal: an extra pile of mail on the counter, a chair that's become the clothes chair, a few boxes tucked into corners. But clutter doesn't just take up space in your home. It takes up space in your mind. A messy environment can weigh on your mood without you even realizing it. It can also make moving around your home more dangerous. A magazine left on the floor, a cord stretched across the hallway, or a box by the doorway can turn into a trip hazard faster than you think. When you live alone, there's no one else around to point it out or pick it up for you. Clearing clutter is a way of creating peace. Think about how nice it feels to walk into a tidy room where everything has its place. That sense of calm isn't just in your head, it's in your body, too. Avoid letting clutter sneak into your life unchecked. Tackle it one little bit at a time. Clear a drawer, organize a shelf, donate clothes you don't wear anymore. Small steps build into a home that feels lighter, safer, and more welcoming. Another danger when living alone is ignoring your finances. Money can be an uncomfortable topic, but avoiding it doesn't make it go away. In fact, when you stop paying close attention, little leaks can turn into big floods. A forgotten bill, an auto renewal you don't use anymore, or even falling for a phone scam can chip away at your resources. And the truth is, financial stress can affect your health just as much as physical stress. Staying on top of your finances doesn't have to mean spreadsheets and calculators if that's not your style. It can be as simple as setting one morning a week to sit down with your bills and statements, reviewing your expenses, or asking a trusted family member to help you keep track. Avoid the temptation to push financial worries to the side, because clarity brings peace. And peace of mind is priceless when you're navigating life on your own. There's also something many people never talk about, but it's so important: avoiding the silence of unspoken emergencies. When you live alone, who knows if you've slipped, fallen, or gotten sick? That's why it's vital to have some kind of emergency plan. Maybe it's wearing a medical alert pendant. Maybe it's arranging with a neighbor to check in if they haven't seen you in a while, or simply texting a family member each morning to say hello. Avoid assuming you'll be fine just because you always have been. Life is unpredictable, and preparing for emergencies isn't about being fearful, it's about being wise and protecting your independence. And finally, perhaps the most subtle but powerful thing to avoid: letting your spark fade. Living alone can sometimes cause people to slowly stop doing the things that once brought them joy. Maybe you used to love gardening, but now the tools sit in the shed. Maybe you loved playing piano, but now the cover stays closed. When there's no one around to share your hobbies with, it's easy to convince yourself they don't matter. But they do. Your joy matters. Your passions matter. They are not just pastimes. They are lifelines that connect you to who you are. So, avoid letting the flame of your interests die out. Pick up that paintbrush, plant a flower, write in your journal, sing out loud in your kitchen. Not for anyone else, but for you. Joy is fuel, and the more of it you create for yourself, the brighter your days will be. When we step back and look at all these things together: avoiding isolation, keeping your home safe, eating well, building a routine, staying active, honoring your health, clearing clutter, managing finances, preparing for emergencies, and nurturing your spark, it becomes clear that living alone doesn't have to mean living less. In fact, it can mean living more if you make mindful choices. So let me say this directly to you. You have so much life left to live, so much joy left to discover, and so much wisdom still to share. Don't let small habits steal that from you. Take the steps, no matter how small, to protect your health, your safety, and your spirit. You deserve to wake up each day feeling strong, confident, and excited about what's ahead. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you do that keeps your independence strong and your days joyful? Share it in the comments, because your story might inspire someone else who needs to hear it today. If this conversation has helped you, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this, because we're building a community of people who believe that every age can be a beautiful age. Remember this: small changes make big differences, and your best years are not behind you. They are right here, right now, waiting for you to claim them. Here's to living fully, freely, and joyfully. no matter where life takes you. One more thing that often goes unsaid when living alone is the silence of emergencies. It's something most of us don't want to think about, yet it can make all the difference. Imagine, for just a moment, what would happen if you slipped in the kitchen or felt unwell late at night? When no one else is in the house, who knows? Who comes to check? That's why preparing for emergencies isn't just smart, it's essential. Now, preparing doesn't mean you're expecting something bad to happen. Think of it more like carrying an umbrella. You don't bring it because you want rain, you bring it so you're ready if the clouds roll in. A simple system can bring peace of mind. For some people, it's a medical alert pendant they wear around their neck. For others, it's a daily good morning text to a family member or neighbor, just a small check-in that confirms you're okay. You could even set a routine with a friend where you both promise to reach out if you haven't heard from the other by a certain time. The point is, don't let yourself fall into the habit of thinking, "I'll be fine." That confidence is good, but life is unpredictable. By having a safety net in place, you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting your independence. Because the faster help arrives in an emergency, the quicker you get back to living life on your own terms. Avoid brushing this off, because being prepared is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom and strength. Another thing to be careful of, and it's more subtle than all the rest, is letting your spark fade. When you live alone, it's easy to tell yourself, why bother? Why bother cooking a nice meal if no one else will eat it? Why bother tending the garden if no one's coming over to see it? Why bother putting on your favorite song if the room is empty? But here's the truth. Your joy isn't something you do for others, it's something you do for yourself. That spark inside you, the one that once lit up when you painted, sang, cooked, built, or learned something new, that spark keeps you alive in ways no medicine can. When you ignore it, your days slowly lose color. But when you nurture it, life becomes rich again, no matter your age. So dust off the guitar, pull out the old recipes, take that afternoon walk with your camera, and capture the sunset. You don't need an audience. The joy itself is enough. And who knows, by keeping your spark alive, you may even inspire others who thought it was too late for them to shine again. When we put it all together, these 10 things we've talked about aren't rules to restrict you. They're guideposts to keep you safe, strong, and joyful. They're reminders that independence isn't just about doing everything alone, it's about building a life where you can thrive, even in solitude. Living alone doesn't mean being lonely, and it doesn't mean being careless. It means having the freedom to choose and making choices that honor your health, your safety, and your spirit. So if you've been feeling that living alone is a quiet struggle, I want you to hear this. You are not invisible, and you are not forgotten. Every step you take to care for yourself, to protect yourself, and to find joy is a step toward a brighter, fuller life. And it's never too late to start. Maybe tonight, before you go to bed, you can choose one small thing from all we've talked about. Call an old friend just to say hello. Clear off the pile of mail on the table. Write down the phone number of a neighbor you trust and keep it by your bed. Small changes lead to big peace of mind. And before you know it, your days will feel lighter, safer, and more joyful. And I'd love to hear from you. Share in the comments what brings you joy these days, or what small step you're going to take for yourself. Your words might be the encouragement another person needs to hear. If this video has helped you, please give it a like and subscribe for more conversations like this. Because you deserve a community that lifts you up, reminds you of your worth, and helps you see that age is not the end of the story, it's the chapter where wisdom, courage, and joy come together in the most powerful way. So here's my final thought for you today. Life alone doesn't have to be less. It can be more peaceful, more creative, more deeply fulfilling if you choose to avoid the small traps and focus on what truly matters. Don't let anyone tell you your best years are behind you. They're right here, waiting for you to live them. And I hope you'll take that step, one choice at a time, starting now.